We begin the day with a very interesting leadership keynote, the offer you cannot refuse. And it is my privilege and honor to introduce our keynote speaker, who is joining in from Belgium, Mr. Steven Van Belleghem, who is an expert in customer focus in a digital world. And he's also an author and co-founder of Nexxworks and Snackbyte. Steven is an international keynote speaker. And in these past years, Steven has given more than 1,000 presentations at events in over 40 countries. His core expertise is the future of customer centricity, the combination between customer-centric thinking, the latest technologies, and the human touch is the guiding principle in Steven's stories. Steven is an entrepreneur. He's the co-founder of the inspiration agency Nexxworks and the social media agency Snackbyte. As an investor, he is also involved in the fast-growing digital agency Intracto and AI scale-up Hello Customer. Finally, Steven is also on the board of directors of Plan International. In addition to this, along with his entrepreneurial activities, Steven is also a part-time marketing professor at the Vlerick Business School and a guest lecturer at London Business School. His opinion is often shared in media like Forbes, Walk, The Guardian, and so on. Steven has authored 5 international bestsellers and has sold more than 130,000 books. His work has been translated into 7 languages, and he is the recipient of a variety of awards, most innovative marketing book, best marketing book, and best international business book. I warmly welcome Steven Van Belleghem and thank you for accepting our request to be a keynote speaker at INFOCOM 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, the keynote on the offer you can't refuse. And before Steven comes on stage, there is a question and answer box. In case you have any questions for Steven, do post them in the box and we will try and get to them after Steven's keynote. Over to you, Steven, for your keynote.
Thank you, Raki, for the warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here at INFOCOM again. 2 years ago, I had the pleasure to be in India live with you on stage, but today I'm very proud that I can be part of this virtual conference. And I brought this story for you called The Offer You Can't Refuse, which is also the title of my latest book. And it talks about the future of customer experience. And of course, this has been a terrible year with the pandemic and COVID-19. But if you look at the evolution in terms of digital behavior, I tend to call this year the year of the biggest digital training course in human history. We made the big digital jump forward. And sometimes it even feels like we stepped in some sort of a time machine, right? We stepped into it in March 2020. And in terms of digital behavior, we stepped back out in March 2025. We made this big jump forward. And there are many facts that I could share, but this is my favorite graph to illustrate this. This is the evolution of e-commerce in the United States in the last 10 years. So if you look closely, you will see that between 2011 and 2019, e-commerce grew with 9% in the US. 9% in 8 years. And then in March, the great lockdown started. And then in 8 weeks' time, e-commerce grew at 11%. So we had a higher growth in 8 weeks than in the past 8 years. It's the big digital jump forward. And what you see is that people who started to try out new digital adventures, they are showing interest of keeping this behavior alive. They're not going back. And this is not just in B2C markets, this is also the case in B2B markets. Like this is a study of McKinsey, where you see that in the beginning of the pandemic, only half of the B2B salespeople were convinced that they could sell through a screen. Now, more than 3/4 is convinced that they can sell through a screen, not just towards existing clients, but also to new clients. So every signal is pointing in the same direction, that we didn't climb this mountain this year in terms of digital behavior. We didn't go steep up and then back steep down. No, we climbed the Table Mountain in South Africa. We went steep up and we reached this new level. That is the big digital jump forward. And that's what I mean with this time machine that we jumped into. This is the consequence of the big digital training course that all of us went through this year. And as a consequence, more and more organizations are starting to invest in digital, are moving faster with the digital transformation. And I understand that, because ask yourself this, if you look outside your window today, do you still see the world? Because I don't think you do. I think you see part of the world, because there's this big digital invisible layer on top of everything that we do that is changing the way that customers and companies interact with each other. And because of that, I really believe that we shouldn't make a distinction anymore between online and offline, between digital and analog. Today, it's about a hybrid world where both come together, where online and offline are merging. And you see this in every industry. Like I'm a fan of this healthcare example from China, a good doctor, an app that in case you don't feel well, if you have a symptom of something, you connect with the app, you have a real-time video call a few seconds later with a doctor. If something serious is going on, they're going to make an appointment in a clinic, in a hospital, for instance. And if nothing serious is going on, they will prescribe the medication you need. They will send the medication to your house and you will receive it in less than 30 minutes. So they bring the healthcare system to the patient, and that works really well. And it's extremely popular. A good doctor is the most popular healthcare system in the world. More than 300 Chinese people are using it every time they don't feel well. And now they're bringing this digital platform to the physical world. Like in cities like Beijing and Shanghai, they're placing these mobile clinics. They look like an old-fashioned phone booth, but you walk in and there you have a video call with a doctor. And once you're done, you can go to the other side of the mobile clinic, you scan your phone, and then you can have instantly your medication. And this is for me an example of this hybrid world. Going to the healthcare system is usually an offline process, but because of COVID-19 in many markets, we now have remote healthcare. But they also bring that digital healthcare to the physical world with those mobile clinics. The difference between on and offline has almost completely disappeared. And that's really interesting to see. Now, as a consequence of what happened this year is that the expectations of customers are changing rapidly. And I want to take you on this journey on how you can create for your organization and offer your customers can't refuse. And you know, in the old world, pre-COVID, it was pretty easy. If you wanted to be successful, you needed a good product, good service, good price. That is obviously still important today. But part of the new minimum is also digital convenience. Today, people find it normal that digital interfaces just work perfectly. And you see more and more organizations that understand this and that are trying to optimize every detail of that customer journey. And I want to show you one of my favorite examples. Walmart, the biggest company in the world, the largest supermarket chain in the world. Some people think this is a dinosaur that is about to be extinct because of Amazon, but that's not really true. The fact is that Walmart is one of the few companies that is fighting back against Amazon. And that's because they really understand how to use the leverage of their stores. Like people can order online with them and then you can go to the store and pick it up, but they don't want to wait in line for 15 minutes and wait until a human picks up that package. Time is a scarce resource and they want to do that in an efficient way. So what they've done is in all these Walmart stores, they place these huge pickup towers and people get a barcode. They go to the barcode with their phone, they order it online, get the barcode, they go to the machine, they scan it, and in just a few seconds, they get their package. They don't have to wait. It's extremely, extremely efficient. But now Walmart want to take it one step further. And then they launched this commercial. And I'm like 40 plus, so for me, this is a trip in memory lane with all the cool cars when I was a child. But what they're actually showing here is that if you're passing by a Walmart and you ordered some food online, just get on the parking lot. We're going to put the food in your trunk and you can take off again. You don't even have to get out of your car. And if you think, okay, that's really cool, but what with people who don't drive home passing by a Walmart? No problem. They now have in-fridge delivery. And that means that you order online and then they send someone to your house. They open up the door with a digital lock. They go in your house. They film everything they do so you know what's going on. But you're sure that all the food is nicely in the refrigerator and that the cat of the neighbors isn't eating your food. But maybe you think, okay, I don't like the idea of another human in my house. Fine. Then they can send in the robots. If you don't like a human to do the delivery, they will send a robot to do the delivery. So there's always a solution for this problem. But Walmart is one of those companies that really understands how they can add value to this whole evolution and how they can try to optimize every detail of the customer journey. And as a consequence, I believe that digital convenience is becoming a commodity, which means that if you have it, that's fine. If you don't have it, people don't understand anymore. So the question is, what are expectations that people will have that go beyond convenience? What are expectations that people have that go beyond convenience? How can you create an offer they can't refuse? And I like to play with two dimensions. On top of the minimum demand of a good product and good price, digital convenience, I like to play with these dimensions. How can you become a partner in life of your customers? And how can you add value to society? And if you make a combination of those two, you can actually create an offer people can't refuse. So if we want to build, one of the first items that I always recommend to add is how can you become a partner in life? Now we're going to play a little game. Imagine that tomorrow morning you wake up and you're not waking up in beautiful India, but you look around and you feel like, oh my God, I have changed into a rhino and I'm walking around in the bush in Kenya, for instance. That would be a disappointment if you wouldn't be a human anymore in beautiful India, but a rhino in also beautiful Kenya. And what would be your first concern as a rhino? I don't know if you ever thought about that, but your first concern would be to find food and water, same as a human. And you can do that as a rhino, that's the good news. But the bad news is that a rhino is not good in keeping its own safety and its own healthcare. And that's because nature made a mistake. When nature created the rhino, they were convinced that a rhino would have no natural enemies. Because look at this animal. I mean, every little bit intelligent lion would never attack a rhino, but would go for the zebra, right? So no natural enemies. But then unfortunately, humans have become interested in the horns of this beautiful animal. But because nature thought it wouldn't have any animals, it made a few mistakes. Like a rhino doesn't have good eyesight, doesn't have good smell capabilities. So it's hard to protect itself against human poachers. But thank God the rhino has a partner in life, these oxpeckers. And these little birds are not just on the back of the rhino eating the parasites from its skin to keep its skin healthy. No, they also function as an alarm system. Like the birds, they have great eyesight, right? And then they look around, and then when they see a human, they know that this could be dangerous, and then they make a different sound. And the rhino recognizes that sound. And then the rhino thinks like, okay, there must be a human around. I have to run as hard as I can. And this is for me a metaphor of what organizations should be doing. This is what a partner in life is really about. How can you add value to the life of your customers in a non-intrusive way? Like the rhino doesn't even feel that those birds are on its back, but when he needs them, they are there. How can you do this? How can you add value at the moment that it really matters without being intrusive? That is what a partner in life is all about. This is about understanding the human needs behind the customer, the human emotions. Like every human has a movie of their life in their head, right? Like things they hope will happen, things they hope will never happen, dreams and fears and ambitions. We all have that. The better an organization understands those, the better they can play a role in our life journey. And in this phase, it's not really about optimizing the customer journey anymore. In this phase, it's about optimizing the life journey. This isn't about transactions, this is about emotions. And I want to show you an example from my own country, from Belgium, a company that I'm very familiar with. I'm a huge fan of those. A company called UpCot, and they make student homes. So they make apartments where students live when they go to university. And traditionally, you know how it goes in real estate. It's a very conservative market. You rent a place and that's it. I mean, they try to give a nice quality living and a safe place, but that's it. Well, these guys go a lot further. They want to be a partner in life for the students. And one of the things they do is this. In every building that they have, there is a mental coach available 24/7. And these coaches can help students that are lonely in the apartment or are afraid to go to the exams, or when there's a conflict, or when someone is ill or someone passes away. That unfortunately happens sometimes. Well, then they have a mental coach available. Now, because of COVID-19, many students are unhappy with the situation. They are disappointed that they have a limited life at this moment. So a lot of them are down. So what they've done in UpCot is they installed, or they offered students free access to psychologists, and they organize that for them to support them, to get them through this. They have something like Upgrade Academy. Upgrade Academy is a learning platform where they offer students insights, interesting lectures that go beyond the knowledge that you learn on the student benches, but that can play a vital role in the rest of their life. That's what they want to do. And this is about becoming a partner in life. This is not just about renting out the place. This is about adding value in the life of those students. And I think that is just fascinating to see how they do this. They understand the human behind the customer. And if you do that, you can become a partner in life. And then we come to the last, then we come to the last part of the model, changing your world. You know, today the world is looking for companies that take their responsibility because the world is facing many challenges. Just look at what happened this year. We still have an enormous fight against discrimination and racism. We have a more urgent need to do something about climate change than ever. We had the biggest healthcare crisis that we've ever seen with a devastating impact on the global economy. This has not been a good year. There's a lot on our plate. And what you see is that more and more people around the world are looking to companies to deal with these changes. They want companies to take their responsibility and add value to these global challenges and these local challenges. There is a higher level of trust that business leaders can tackle these global challenges than government leaders can. And 3/4 of the world's population, they expect organizations to take their responsibility and don't wait until a government imposes them to do so. Can you change the world with your organization? And if you wonder, okay, how do we need to start about this? Because that's not easy to change the world or change part of your world. And what I would invite you to do is this. Look at the world as a world with trade-offs. What is the trade-off in your industry? Sometimes the trade-off is convenience versus privacy, right? Sometimes the trade-off is, I want to buy something cheap, but then I know that it's not produced in an ethical way. Or I like my own freedom, and sometimes that has a negative consequence for the planet. That's a trade-off. What is the trade-off in your industry? Can you identify it, and then can you start to reduce it to eventually eliminate it? I'm going to show you this example. Like take me. I'm not a vegetarian. I like to eat meat, even though I know that meat is bad for my personal health, and I know it's bad for the planet. But still, I eat meat. Is this a trade-off that we can solve? Yes, because now you have companies like Impossible Foods or Beyond Meat, sorry. They make plant-based meat. They don't want to target the vegetarian population. They want to target people like me who like to eat meat. They want to give me a meat-like experience. They want to mimic the meat experience to offer me something that has the same taste, smell, and texture as meat, but without the negative consequences for my personal health and for the climate. Are these companies there yet? No, of course not. They're in the beginning of their evolution, but they're getting traction. You see how McDonald's and Burger King is working with them, how you can find their products in the supermarket. And the moment that they will be able to scale their solutions to more and more people, at that moment, they will be part of the reduction of that trade-off. And this is a very interesting one to think about. If you want to add value to society, find the trade-off in your industry and try to remove it. And if you do so, you can change your world. And these are the 4 components that can help you to create an offer your customers can't refuse. Good product, service, price, digital convenience, partner in life, which is about the human behind the customer, and having a positive impact on society are 4 components that a modern consumer values highly. How can you combine those to create an offer people can't refuse? And you know, this is a world that goes beyond beyond convenience. People expect more. People expect the more emotional parts of the relationship to grow in importance. The only thing that I just want to add to this is that this model works from the bottom up. It starts with the customer, it evolves towards society. This is sometimes the frustration of NGOs. They're like, hey, but Steven, we're changing the world. Why isn't it working? Well, probably because your digital convenience isn't good enough, or your product, service, price, quality isn't good enough. And then you only attract a group of idealists. If you want to reach the mass market, this begins with the customer and it evolves towards society, not the other way around. And this is my invitation to you. How far are you up on this model of the offer you can't refuse? Where are you doing good things that you can double down on? Where do you have the feeling that you need to invest more to keep up with the evolutions in the market? And how can you create an offer people can't refuse? And this is my final invitation for you guys, my last slide, an open invitation to dare to dream about the perfect customer experience. Dare to dream what that could be, and then reverse engineer it back to today and start building that offer your customers cannot refuse. This, my dear friends in India, is what I had for you. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like my work, feel free to check me out on Instagram or YouTube or LinkedIn. I share a lot of content there. I have a lot of people from India who are following me already, and I'm very thankful for that. So it would be an honor to welcome all of you there on my platforms. Thank you very much for inviting me again for the second time. I'm deeply honored, and I'm going to give the word back to Raki. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Steven. There's a question that has come in from Mr. Mangal Kumar Kulkarni. He's saying, digital certainty makes the customer journey more convenient, but how do we ensure that we do not miss out on the human touch in these transactions?
That's a very good point. And I think they work perfectly next to each other. The strength of digital is the ultimate convenience, right? That's what apps and tools do for us, and that's cool. But they're also humans. And the cool thing is that the typical human skills are very complementary with digital skills. Like typical human skills are empathy, passion, creativity, the positive human transfer that we can do between humans. That is very hard for a machine. And I really believe that the more digital the world becomes, the more valuable these human skills will be. The only thing is, it's not because you are human that you're good in the human skills. Being good in empathy, passion, creativity, that should be something that we're more attentive for in the next few years, because that will grow in importance. And if you excel in those, customers will be really happy with that.